on, everybody? This is Matt O'Rourke from WNY bringing you your high school wrestling mid-season report. This video is sponsored by the Wester family of dealerships and G&G Fitness. So what we're going to do tonight is we're just going to go over some of the standings real quick, some of the rankings of where we're at as of the end of December, as of December 30th. So just from me to you, wishing everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and for you wrestlers out there, Happy 2-pound allowance. So let's get right into it. So as of right now, we'll go down the list of the league leaders real quick. It's some of the races are really going to heat up after the start of the new year. So in ECIC 1, our top-ranked area team Lancaster leads with a 3-0 league record, followed by Clarence and Frontier. Lancaster's 11-0 overall. Clarence is 13-2. Frontier's 14-7. ECIC 1 may be having one of the best seasons they've had in a very long time, but we'll get a little bit more into that later in the show. In ECIC 2, Starpoint leads the league right now with a 3-0 league record, 11-4 overall. Pioneers right behind them at 2-0 and 15-4 overall going into this weekend's duels. There's 3 other ranked teams behind them, and we'll get back into them a little bit later as well. In ECIC 3, Lackawanna is a 3-0 right now in the league, having a really nice surprise of a year so far. Iroquois is 1-0. Unfortunately, they've had a couple dual meets canceled due to the weather. Right now, they're 17-2. In the Niagara Frontier League, Niagara Falls leads the league right now with a 3-0 record at 10-5. Grand Island is also 3-0 and 10-6. We of course know that Niagara Falls had a nice win over Niagara Wheatfield a few weeks ago for the Niagara Cup. Niagara Wheatfield's in third place in the league right now at 2-1 and 9-4 overall. In the Niagara Orleans League, Newfane 3-0, riding a 6-year undefeated streak so far. We'll see what happens rest of the season. They're 14-3 overall, followed by Albion at 3-0, 7-2 overall. In the Southern Tier, we go to the Chautauqua Cattaraugus Athletic Association Division 1. Falconer 3-0, 20-1 overall. The Golden Falcons just reached a pretty nice program milestone. They've hit 50 league wins a week ago since the 2011-2012 season. Pretty remarkable, I'd say, for any wrestling team in upstate New York at this day and age. So, followed by Fredonia, who's 3-0, 18-3 overall, and Chautauqua Lake, who's 2-0 and 5-7 right now overall. In CCAA 2, Portville leads. They're the defending league champion. They're 4-0 in the league and 17-1 overall. And then the Monsignor Martin League, St. Joe's is 1-0 with a 6-7 record overall, with a really nice brutal schedule they put together for themselves. So obviously St. Joe's likes to test themselves early in the season. We'll see how that pays off later this season. So we'll jump over to the team rankings. So my latest team rankings as of today in big schools, we'll start at the top with Lancaster, Niagara Wheatfield, Clarence, Niagara Falls, Hamburg, Williamsville North, Frontier, Starpoint, Grand Island, St. Joe's, and for my honorable mentions this week, I've got the Orchard Park Quakers and the Amherst Tigers. In Division 2, Falconer still leads. It is my number 1 ranked team in Western New York, followed by Iroquois, Fredonia, Newfane, Pioneer, Portville, Chautauqua Lake. Lakeshore has moved up a couple spots this week. Southwestern finds themselves at number 9 in the rankings this week, and Albion rounds out the top 10 with East Aurora coming in as an honorable mention squad. So, so those are your league standings and your league rankings right now. League standings and your rankings right now as of December 30th. So overall, my reaction to the first half of the season of where these teams are at is Division 1, the top 10, 11, maybe 12 teams, really competitive this year. We'll get into the dual meet tournament a little bit later on, but look, you just got to look at ECIC 1. If you can find the standings on WNYathletics.com. I update these daily. In ECIC 1, the top 6 of their 8 teams right now are find themselves in my rankings. 2 of them are knocking on the doors of double-digit wins this year. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens down the stretch as the ECIC 1 kind of figures itself out. Even in ECIC 2, ECIC 2 has a handful of big schools, a handful of small schools. That'll be really interesting to see what happens down the stretch. In the Niagara Frontier League, Niagara Falls controls their own destiny right now. The league match with Grand Island will probably decide that league. I'll say probably. And then And then jumping down to the small schools with Falconer, Falconer has a home date with Fredonia later this season. We'll see what happens this weekend at the dual meet tournament, but Falconer is looking for their 8th straight league title in CCAA 1. In CCAA 2, Portville's pretty much in control there, and then St. Joe's. There hasn't been whole lot of wrestling yet in the Monsignor Martin League due to weather concerns, but St. Joe's is in the driver's seat right now, as it looks like, in the Monsignor Martin League. So overall in Division One, I'd say very competitive this year. Really nice to see a lot of teams that have really tried to work themselves up in terms of numbers in their program, in terms of consistency at the youth level, at the modified level, really doing a nice job right now. So hats off. There's too many to mention right now, but there's some really great things going on in the big schools. In the small schools, I'd say the top 5 teams between Falconer, Iroquois, Fredonia, Newfane, and Pioneer are really kind of the class of the small schools right now. There's a couple more that have been doing a really nice job of rehabilitating their programs, reinvesting in the youth stuff, and have really nice modified turnout right now. So all around, there's a lot of good things to be happy about in Western New York this season that a lot of other places in upstate New York are not enjoying the same amount of success. So one of the biggest events of the high school season is coming up this weekend, Saturday, January 4th, at Lancaster High School at the Fieldhouse. That is the 3rd annual Section 6 Dual Meet Championship.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
So that leads me to my next point about this weekend's 4th annual Section 6 Dual Meet Championships, which will be at Lancaster High School in the Fieldhouse. This weekend's event should be another really good one. This is one of my favorite tournaments of the year, as I hope a lot of other people have taken a liking to this since it is fairly new in Western New York. Last year, Olean / Allegheny Limestone and Niagara Wheatfield represented Section 6 at the state dual meet tournament in Syracuse, and Falconer represented us in the on the Division II side. Both Wheatfield and Falconer made the Final Four. We're always going to hope for whoever represents the section there gets as far as they can. Maybe we'll see if we can crown a state champion, even if not this year, then next year. But it's a really nice event at the state dual meet tournament. The state committee has done a really good job of organizing that event and making it really something to watch. So I would encourage everybody to show up this weekend and watch. I would encourage everybody to show up in Syracuse. And for those that can't make it, WNY Athletics is actually going to have a live stream from the floor at Lancaster of the final matches for both Division I and Division II. But for this weekend's seeding, the top 1 through 8 teams that'll be there for Division I are Lancaster, Niagara Wheatfield, Clarence, Niagara Falls, Frontier, Grand Island, Hamburg, and Williamsville North in that order, numbers 1 through 8. And then Division II, it'll be Falconer, Iroquois, Fredonia, Newfane, Pioneer, Lakeshore, East Aurora, Holland, and Alden Depew, numbers 1 through 8 in that order. So wrestling is scheduled to start at about 10 a.m. What I'll be really looking forward to in the first rounds are the 4 and 5 matchup in Division I, Niagara Falls and Frontier. In my opinion, should be an excellent match. I'm torn on who I think's on my prediction for that one, so I'll come out with that later this week. I'm also very interested in a possible, no guarantees here, in a possible Niagara Wheatfield Clarence semifinal match. I like the way both of those teams match up. So the first round, the first 2 rounds, every round of this tournament are really something to watch. And then Division II, a Newfane Pioneer rematch has really got my attention. Newfane beat Pioneer 40-39 at Pioneer's dual meet tournament a couple weeks ago, and really what was a barn burner and a nail biter of a match. So that's one that I'll definitely be keeping my eye on Saturday morning at Lancaster. So like I said, WNY Athletics will have that live streamed. The final matches, wrestling starts at 10 a.m. The finals are slated to begin at about 4 p.m. So with that being said, I'm going to take a quick break for a word from our sponsors.
Hey, Josh Allen.
Hey, thanks for coming by.
Big fan.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all about that teamwork.
Yeah, that's West Her. Get the right people, working together, making connections. In fact, show me what you got. I'm going long.
Really?
Woo. Made me work for it, but anything worth doing.
Listen, I know you're good at this TV deal, but maybe you should try the football thing.
All right, well, welcome back to the second part of the Western New York High School Wrestling Midseason Report. My name is Matt O'Rourke with WNYathletics.com. So in this part of the show, we will talk briefly about some of the individual performances we've had this season. We won't get too much into this, seeing how we got a lot of dual meet considerations right on the horizon, and we'll get more into the individual stuff later this season once the class, sectionals, and state tournaments come around. And then we'll go over the schedule at the end of the show to get everybody caught up on what's going on, what's next in Section 6, and what's next in Monsignor Martin League. So right now, we've got 17 returning sectional champions, and 10 returning CHSAA place winners from the 5-member schools from the Catholic side. So we'll start off with Willie McDougall, obviously a state champion. Everybody knows Willie. He's a state champ, a 3-time placer. Broke the Falls pin record a couple weeks ago. Broke the Niagara Falls Wrestling's win record a few weeks ago. 20-0 so far this season, down at 145 pounds, which we'll talk about the significance of that now that Christmas has come and gone, the 2-pound allowance goes into effect all across New York State for all high school wrestlers. So whereas Willie's wrestled a lot at 152 and 160 this year, he's now at 145, and you'll see that across the state as big individual tournaments and dual meet results. Other wrestlers in all the other weight classes that are contenders for state championships, it'll be interesting to see in the next week or two where everybody ends up weighing in. So I just wanted to point that out, that where you see Willie's results and a lot of other these boys as well. You see a lot of people dropping in weight or even going up to depending on where the best place for them is in the postseason, as a lot of these guys get ready to chase down a state championship. So right over the school district border is Willie's cousin Justin. We all know Justin as well, a 3-time New York State place winner, a 2-time finalist, joined the Wheatfield 200 Win Club a few weeks ago, joining his brother and 2010 state champion Angelo Malvestuto, the only 3 200 match winners in Wheatfield history. 24-0 so far this season, also down in weight class after from where he's been earlier this year at 138 pounds. Went into Oswego this weekend with some of his teammates at the Specialist Ken Haynes Memorial Tournament. Won his 4th straight Haynes Tournament title. So Justin is having an excellent season as well, as one of the best in Western New York in the last couple years, and certainly now as a senior. So then we'll stay in Niagara County with Newfane sophomore Andy Lachinsky. Andy's a state finalist, dropped down to 106 pounds this weekend, 23-1 so far this year. His only blemish is to the young man from Palmyra, Macedon in Section 5 who beat Andy in the state final last year. His name is Jay Schaefer. So I noticed that Schaefer was down to 106 pounds this weekend. So it may end up being a 2-horse race this winter, assuming everyone gets to the state tournament. He won his 2nd Haynes title this weekend in Oswego as well. Looking to become the first state champion from Newfane since 2003, since the great Ryan Needle did that. Down in Lancaster, we'll talk about Ryan Stencil, a senior now, a 3-time state tournament representative, was 5th in the state last year, 18-0 overall. Really doing a good job to lead that Lancaster lineup, and he was a big part of this team. He's been a big part of this team for the last few years, especially 2 years ago when Lancaster won the Section 6 dual meet title. So watch out. Ryan Stencil is definitely one of the best in the area right now, and he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on going into as the postseason starts to approach us quickly. Also looking to become his program's first state champion in quite some time. The last state champion from Lancaster was Joe Zito in 1986, for a little bit of history there. In Grand Island, Adam D'Agostani was 4th in the state last year, record 19-0 right now. the young man's been very much on fire, and he's been doing a really good job to lead the Vikings this season and last season when they captured their first ever Niagara Frontier League title, looking to become the first state champion in Grand Island Viking history. So the last one we'll talk about is Fredonia senior Dalton Gardner. Gardner was 4th in the state last year, 5th place in 2016. He's having an outstanding season this year, looking to become the Hillbillies' first state champion since Kenny Betts in 2009. So that'll wrap up who is returning this year that placed in the state tournament last year. So I'll just give you a couple names to look out for as returning sectional champions, and then some of our returning wild card representatives from the state tournament. So from Williamsville North, both Cam Catcherbone and Mike Catanzaro have an excellent seasons. Both are returning sectional champions. Orchard Park's Mike Pataki is back this year, having a great season in the upper weights for the Quakers. Niagara Wheatfield's Colin Kogenauer is also a two-time defending section champion. He's back this season. Grand Island's Blake Bielek, a returning section champion. East Aurora's Alex Skowronski, a returning section champion. Alden Depew's Carson Alberti is a returning section champ, now in Division II since the Alden Depew merger and the beds formulation has them in Division II. Lakeshore's Julian Martin is a returning sectional champion. Fredonia has 2 sectional champions back with Sarah Kristen and Dave Ball. In Tonawonda's Jason Frazier, a returning sectional champion, also had a great football season, as well as Newfane's Jaden Here is also a football star and a returning sectional champion at 285 pounds. For the wild cards in Division I, Amherst Ryan Bitka, another football star, is back this season. Clarence's Aiden Rabideau, who's actually a 3-time representative and a 2-time sectional champion, but fell in last year's sectional final, back as well. Hamburg's Ryan Forrest was a wild card to the states last year. And then in small schools, you got Giovanni Schifano from Eden, a soccer star, great wrestler. He's back this year, looking for a sectional title. Donovan Pacheski at Iroquois, one of a bunch of really great lower weights for the Chiefs right now, having an excellent season among a really loaded pack of 99 to about 132, 138 pounders for the Chiefs. Ryan Nugent was a sectional finalist last year. He's back. It was a wild card in the state tournament. And then you've got Muhammad El Shawi from Lackawanna, was a champ 2 years ago, a wild card last year, and finally Chautauqua Lake's Brendan Ramsey was a champion 2 years ago, and just barely missed heading back to the state tournament last year as a wild card after taking 3rd in the section. So, with that being said, there's too many to mention right now. We will, like I said before, we will get back to the individual side of things later in the season, after the dual meet stuff is rounded up, after the state dual meet championships are over with. We'll return to talk about what's on the horizon for some of the contenders, what some of the returning stars have to do, and what some of the young men looking for their first sectional championship, their first crack in the state tournament, what they'll need to do to get themselves to Albany. So until then, you can follow me. You can follow me at Matt O'Rourke1, Matt_O'Rourke1 on Twitter, and everything on @WNYathletics.com. You can keep up with me in my weekly roundups, rankings, reactions, you name it. Wrestler of the Week, it's all out there. That's where you'll find it. You can follow our Facebook page at WNY Athletics on Facebook. I will be on Inside High School Sports on this Saturday before the tournament. So tune in to WGR 550, the home of the Bills, the home of the Sabres. And you will follow me in a few weeks when I head to Syracuse for the state dual meet tournament, and then eventually in Albany for the individual state tournament. So for WNY Athletics, my name is Matt O'Rourke. This has been your Western New York High School Wrestling Midseason Report. Thanks for watching.
WNYathletics.com is the premier high school sports website in Western New York, providing the best sports coverage of Section 6 and Monsignor Martin leagues. Check out our page for daily game recaps and late-breaking sports news. Our online scoreboards are updated in real time. Never miss a goal or touchdown. Visit WNYathletics.com today or follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube.